Hello everyone. I have another, it was kind of a private session again with Jimi. This is where we usually have discussions, and then on occasion, as in the past, we've talked about Gregory, who was, we believe, is connected to Mobius and the androids, or the Detroits become human androids. The discussion that we have at this time is less focused on the androids. It seems like that seems to be neutralizing a bit. But something interesting comes up regarding Maria Orsic that you might find interesting. And also an awareness that I have as I'm looking at some of Jimi's information. I see something regarding mud flood and also some things regarding Zoroaster. So some of you have asked for more information regarding these topics. Here it is. And as I said, it's very casual. We're having discussions. He's asking questions. And this is the way it goes. It looks like it's recording.
Okay, cool. Yesterday, I told you I saw Gregory for the first time in over a week.
Was it 2 weeks at least?
I thought it was about a week or so, maybe 8 days, but still,
Okay.
that's a long time, for him. And I didn't stay there. It was crowded, and I would have had to sit by him, and I really didn't want to. So I went outside, but he came. I was waiting for my food, and he came up to me and greeted me and said he was going outside to smoke, and I had my food in my hand in the bag, so I just took it outside because I wasn't going to hang around for some reason. I didn't want to eat there like I normally do. But I went outside and smoked with him, and I just wanted to touch bases with him on that relative of his that we were talking about before. To get his name and everything, and then I looked him up, and he was an actual ball player for Houston, but only
baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His name was J.C. Hartman.
J.C.
J.C.
Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I looked him up, and he did kind of look like
Hartman.
Yeah.
Too, with the name Hart. Okay.
Hartman.
Hartman, JC.
He played shortstop for Houston for just like a cup of coffee, as they, since it's
like one season or a couple.
He played parts of 62 and 63. But
is that Tim Horton lingo, or what was that? For a cup of coffee?
Yeah, that's why I threw that in there. But yeah. That's what they refer to as a player that makes the major leagues but doesn't last long.
Okay.
Just there for a cup of coffee. More coffee. But
I'm sure it's no laughing matter to them, but yeah, I can understand what you're saying, because there are people that were there like Yastrzemski or someone that was there for a very long time.
Right, or Al Kaline,
yeah,
the Tigers, and but.
Well, I had to bring up a Red Sox player. So.
Yeah, I like it.
And I met him too, Yastrzemski.
I got a picture of him in music. Good player. I like him. Just not when he hit against us. But anyway, that really didn't turn into he told me the reason why I hadn't seen him for a few days. He said his girlfriend was in the current girlfriend was in the hospital, and so he told me about that, and that was about all the time we had, really. I just asked him about this. It was his uncle. It was the ball player, and I just wanted to get that straight, because I didn't know for sure the name or any of that, but that's who he was talking about.
And what team was it again?
Houston.
Astros. What year?
62, 63.
62, 63.
Yeah.
And the other guy, Moses, well, the reason why we brought up Moses, and I knew he wasn't his relative, but I thought it was interesting that he was the first African-American player.
Yeah.
Which was not recorded, or for some reason people didn't acknowledge him as being the first.
Well, he didn't really, he only had a cup of coffee too. So,
Yeah.
That's what's his name? Jackie Robinson. He was like much heralded and stuff, and a lot was made out of the fact that they were actually breaking the color barrier.
Right.
Because that barrier had been up ever since this Moses dude, and nobody mentioned him, and that's what I mean. It was kept up as like a facade that they didn't really want people to know about this guy because they weren't letting any black people play. And that's what Robinson was, and he had to go through a lot of. Did you ever see that movie they put out of him?
I don't remember. I might have, but yeah, I mean, and anytime they're breaking through, there's a lot of ridicule and comments on the side that people don't see or know about.
Right.
Well, and you have to have a thick skin to do something like that.
That was like a couple years ago. I think that came out called 47. It was the name of it, and that was his number.
Mm-hmm.
And, one day every season, all the players in the league wear number 47 as remembrance of his, and they make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Which they should.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had to go through a lot of, he had people calling him names constantly, trying to get him to fight.
Yeah, to get off his game and all that stuff. But I mean, it is a competitive arena to begin with. So even if you don't have the color barrier or any kind of racial issues, it's a competition. So even amongst your own players, I know my son was in some of those experiences with teams, and so it's not just the other team that you're playing against. Sometimes the other players can be difficult because they want the spot, they want the position,
and
they don't want to sit on the bench.
He was told from the very beginning that he had to turn the other cheek and he couldn't retaliate, and when he was called names, he couldn't, return it, because it might start a damn riot or something, and so he had to be on his best behavior, and that's why they picked him, because he was
even tempered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because other guys would have just,
Yeah, I mean, enough is enough. I mean, as you
Right.
get to a breaking point and someone goes a little too far and you just don't want to deal with it. And sometimes there's, self-respect and so forth, so where's the line?
But
I've even had my son has talked about that, how, sometimes it gets to be like they'll be, even the coaches can be very insultive.
Mhm.
And if they want to push you to a limit where you walk off. And he's been in experiences like that and seen others in that situation. So it's a tough environment.
Yeah, he had to have the right disposition and be a good ball, very good ball player too. And
Right.
I guess that was hard to find. But anyway, and then just today, before I talked to you, I went in there and ate. The place was damn near dead compared to yesterday. There was hardly anybody sitting in there. And as I'm throwing my garbage away and getting ready to turn around to the door, he comes up behind me and goes, "Hey, Jim, are you leaving?" He's just coming in.
Yeah.
And he fist bumped me. So I couldn't. I mean, I fist bumped him too, but he's the one that put it out there. So can you tell me if I picked up anything from that?
No.
Cool. Or
No.
if I did,
I think the energy is shifting a bit, so you're not so immune to it. I mean, you're more immune to it.
Well, I did do a quick revocation right after it too.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that every time I have any doubts about it, just in case. So,
Yep.
I noticed.
But did he say anything abnormal, or does everything seem fine?
He was smiling. He didn't seem upset.
None of this like weird, like I'm just talking randomly to someone, and none of that. It's
I wasn't there. I wasn't inside, except for yesterday when I was waiting for my food, and I did walk over to his table and he had a bunch of stuff there. So and I guess he was going through his little routine, but I wasn't. I didn't stay inside and see it.
to really observe it. Yeah. And what was the stuff on the table? Do you remember?
This is normal, just a bunch of random stuff he brings. It seems to bring out when he comes in there for some kind of routine. But he did mention that he was, when we were smoking, he did say that that he had some work to do. He says he was gonna go watch the football game later on in the afternoon, but he had about an hour's work to do. But he didn't tell me what the hell that was.
Yeah. I'm feeling like this is not the same guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel like it's. I think he's been replaced. That's why he was gone.
Can you get a confirmation on that? It'd be nice to know.
Yeah.
They say yeah?
Yeah.
Different being? Same skin suit, but different being?
Right, yeah.
Hmm.
Someone else there.
Wow.
That's why, things are a little off.
So I mean, why would they do that though? That why not just take him?
Because the other one was an android.
Oh, this one isn't an android?
I think this doesn't feel as much like an android anymore. It feels like it's more organic.
Wow. Well, he like I said yesterday, he still had a lot of the same things that I normally see in there.
Right. Well, of course he has to probably show the same kind of attributes, but there's some kind of frequency that I'm not picking up anymore that he had.
Maybe it was that military training.
No. This is a frequency that comes from AI.
Oh.
That's, I mean, of course I'm talking to you and I want to validate, but I'm not validating just by what you're saying, but I'm tuning into him and it feels like there's a different energy signature there, one that feels more organic as opposed to this frequency. And the fact that he's talking, there was like a shift in his behavior. It wasn't so scheduled, because life happens for people, but for androids, there's a distinct schedule that needs to be met, and they're very, very punctual and all that stuff.
And then the military is very, structured too. So,
right.
He was serving in a military arm of this group, I guess. This android.
Right, which was the FAC.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens with it, but it really, I was kind of like ready for that part to be over, like you said, maybe they sent him home or whatever, and that sounded like the best.
Yeah, like I thought it was like phase 2 of this, and I mean, unless they're trying to trick us, right now it feels like he's organic. Maybe there was a dimensional shift or something happened.
Are you picking up him at Tim's right now? Because I think that's where he is right now at this minute. That was about an hour ago when I saw him there.
Yeah, I mean, I can pick him up there. It feels human. There are 2 other androids in the space.
But in Tim's?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to bring up another name of a lady I wrote.
I know what they did. Oh, I see what they did. So they pulled him out and wanted you to believe that he was one of the androids, and the other 2 were observing you interact with him.
Huh.
Because you talked to the waitstaff about him.
Yeah, not all of them, just a couple.
Doesn't matter. That was the right ones.
Oh. Are they're androids too, you're saying? The staff?
I don't know if they're androids, but definitely like it kind of brought it. They might have said something to someone else. Yeah, there's something unusual about this. It's almost like you're watching us while we're watching you. And as you're observing us, we're observing you. It's kind of like they do something back. They're imitating.
But I wasn't observing anyone else because I didn't know there was others in there.
No, you were observing him.
Right.
But they're observing you while you're observing him.
Oh, right. Well, can you identify these individuals so I know?
I think they move in and out of bodies, or they take on different forms. Maybe even like some people that go in there and drink coffee regularly.
But there's one though that named CJ that I've spoken to a few times, and he's the one that has told me the most about Gregory. You know, he seems to act like he's just normal, and he's the one that told me he saw him at Burger King last week. And you know, is he one of them? One of these observers?
No.
Oh. Okay. How about this?
No, they're not letting you interact with them.
Hey, has anything come up lately about fake Paul? I know you brought him up the other day.
Yeah, no, not with you.
I watched a bunch of videos on that the other day, and
it's kind of weird, isn't it?
It's very convincing. You know that he's actually not really Paul, and of course he came in on our session we had too.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about that on one of your shows the other day, but you didn't bring up that we had actually had a contact with him on a session.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what happened.
Yeah, he came in.
But it's like, yeah, it was kind of random. It was really weird, but
yeah.
It was also like that Hail Bop guy showing up, and he's showed up, you know, a few other times before too. And it's like,
right.
what is that guy doing? It's like he's part of a system or something. And but, either that or
Fall Paul did, and his real name is Billy, and you know there's
William, yeah,
where people call him Billy when they meet. You know, they walk in and see him and they say, "Hey, Billy." Now, why would they do that if it was Paul?
Right.
You know? And you can also see differences in his face, and I guess he's taller than the original. That's why he stopped touring.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had an idea for a show, Jeff. And it revolves around that, maybe bringing him back in and having a little discussion with him, or maybe not bringing him in, or possibly him coming in like he did before.
Yeah, I can't do that. They don't want me to do anything like that. It's like if something shows up, it shows up, but try to bring in the fake Paul who's alive right now. It's the real Paul.
Yeah.
Is somewhere else.
Or yeah, maybe bringing in the original.
I did a show. I don't know if you've ever heard it, where I talked with JP extensively about the whole the Beatles in an alternate reality.
I can't remember if I did or not.
Oh, you would have remembered that. I did more than one show. Those were in the broadcast transmissions.
You have so many of them. I've listened. I try to go through them and listen to each one after another, but I haven't got through them all yet.
Yeah, there are some that we talk about the Beatles in an alternate reality.
Well, I wanted to use that possibly as this was my idea anyway. Use that as as maybe a start, because that was that's considered one of the most popular groups in history. And a couple of their souls were actually in that spot where we found all these musicians, and just one after another they were popping up saying, yep, I'm there, yep, here I am. And I just thought that was really interesting, and we didn't get that on tape. We didn't do a show about it, and that would probably be very popular, I would think.
Yeah, but it's not about being popular. It's about bringing out the information that's going to help people at this time.
Well, that would help. Telling people that look at what's been kept from you all these years, and look what's been going on in the music industry.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have already covered that stuff. But if something like that is supposed to happen, it will happen. But I'm not going to try to contrive it like some others.
Okay.
Have done. Like as a channeler, I have to be careful, or else they won't
come through.
Won't work with me. No, and I have to have integrity, or else I'm not doing it.
Well, okay, yes, I understand, Jess, but it was just an idea. And,
but it is. I do believe there's more than one involved, and believe the story of, and you might be interested in finding the one where we talk about the Beatles in the alternate reality, because it was kind of like a fake story, supposedly, where a guy goes off into the desert and then he actually steps into an alternate reality, comes back with a tape with the music of Beatles from the alternate reality.
Huh.
And it's very strange.
And it was music that didn't come out here by the Beatles we know?
No. Well, it was, but it was altered.
Oh.
It was very, very weird, and I'll give you the link on that. You can listen to it and read the story, but it's kind of like there's something true in it.
And their music changed too after the original Paul died, because all of the stuff that I considered their best music was done by this Billy guy.
Yeah.
What I mean, the Abbey Road and what is it? The Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, where it looks like a funeral on the front.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, that was all him. And from what I understand, he had to. The whole band had to agree to let him take over the band and run everything from that point on, or he wouldn't do it. They were making a lot of money at that point.
Well, supposedly he was already in the industry with his father. His father was a reporter, producer.
Well, he had a band too. But then
Peppers or something like that, right?
That stopped. Pepper Pots or something like that. Yeah, something Billy and the Pepper Pots or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But
no, I know it's really fascinating when you start looking at it, and it's the whole facade, and it's that I'm seeing a lot of, and also there's the trans investigation stuff that they're finding, that a lot of people changing their genders, and the whole thing with you got your Tim Hortons coffee. How can we have a discussion without it?
It's water.
I'm almost running out of my Tim Hortons coffee.
Are you?
Yeah, and I don't even know where to get any more of it.
You must like it.
Yeah, and I had a friend over, and she likes it too, so I need to get some more of it somewhere if I can find it. It's like those K-cups or whatever.
Yeah,
but
make one cup at a time.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
Always fresh.
Keeps me going with all these different wild conversations and crazy sessions.
Really?
Yeah. What would I do without coffee? Coffee or tea? A cup of something.
Can you do a check and see if there's anything up with me right now? If anything's happening, anything I have to address. If anything's coming up to where they need my attention or your attention.
Okay. Someone by the name of Melba that is holding on to you, and you need to let go of her because she's dragging you down. That's exactly what they said.
It's holding on to me.
And is dragging you down.
I don't even know who the hell that is.
It looks like a previous life.
Oh.
I think they're calling her Melba Rose.
Huh.
Melba Rose Garden.
Rose Garden.
Yeah, I don't think it's a real name.
I just met somebody on Facebook that was giving me some bullshit story, and her name was Rose. I think her name is Rose Scoot, SCOOT. But
what was she saying?
She's trying to get money out of me, and claiming she needs a phone card because her phone service is going to go off, and she's going to, just give me a bunch of bullshit stories and pictures, making her look like she's a dancer at a club or something, like a strip club.
Yeah. That might be the entity behind her that's trying to get in touch with you.
Oh. So she's holding on to me and dragging me down.
Yeah.
And probably.
Yeah, I would do a revocation.
Okay.
On that one.
Let's see.
I break all ties, contracts, agreements.
I break all ties, contracts, agreements, blood oaths,
Pat.
pacts.
Yep.
With
In all time, space, reality, past, present, future.
yes, and all time, space, reality, dimensions, in betweens, parallels, pocket universes, or false realities. With Melba Rose Garden or Rose Scoot from Facebook, and
Or the entity behind Melba.
The entity behind Melba.
Yep.
And
right now, let me see.
And this is permanent, and it's done.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that, yeah, it looks like an entity. All right, now I can see it. It's not good.
Oh.
All right, so
was that who it was? That one from Facebook?
Yeah, well, it was moving through. That one from Facebook was trying to con you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she dropped off Facebook yesterday. I guess she ran out of money or something.
Yeah. Something bad about like some kind of bad Anunnaki energy or something.
And it's from a past life?
Yeah.
There was a tie from a past life? Hmm.
To the year 211, 212, you tied the knot.
With her?
Through a ceremony. Yeah, it was a tribal pact. She hooked you into some, she convinced you to connect to her family, and her family was crooked. Or the tribal group. Yeah, that makes sense.
I've been tied into her ever since?
Yeah, that was just another tie that you needed to, like you made a commitment to protect them.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And it's been affecting me ever since, in every lifetime.
Well, I mean, I think it's just like dragging, you know how they say that you dragging the ball and chain?
Uh-huh.
Something like that, yeah.
Whew, man. I need to get rid of that one. Is it gone?
Yeah.
I guess I felt there was something I had to clear there. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah. Well, I think we all have our ball and chain somewhere. Well, people just need to break free. And I'm not saying like this that's like a bad reference usually to like a wife or a husband, but it's the negative connection to someone where you just really can't get free.
And that wasn't the only one. I mean, this is just the most recent one that's popped up. I mean, it seems like every time I talk to you, there's some kind of energy or Draco or.
Well, apparently she found you. She was coming through Facebook.
Yeah.
And found you.
When she did a friend request and there was no picture and she had no history to look at to see who the hell she was. I had no idea, So I said to her, well, I can't be friends. And then she kept pushing it,
Yeah.
So I sent her a message and said, I can't be friends with somebody if I don't know anything about you, And then all of a sudden here comes a picture and she wants to talk. And
Yep.
That's not the first time that's happened, but now I know, that there's other agendas, other ones I had no idea,
Yeah.
Women trying to get money.
Well, it could be woman, man.
Right.
I mean, there's some kind of energy behind it.
Right.
And here it was, this old connection that you had. One way or another, they find you, and I think what happens is people start opening up psychically, spiritually, but that brings in, like people say, well, you do this work, and you start connecting into the darkness, or you connect into all sorts of things, and there is some truth in that. Whereas you open up, period, you open up to good and bad, so you have to be, use discretion because it's a whole different environment once you start opening up.
And there was an energetic tie between us too, and that's another way for them to find you, right? Yeah.
Was from around year 211, 212 AD. It was very tribal looking.
Did it say where? Could you tell where that was? What part of the world?
I think it was, Britannia,
Oh.
Brittany. Yeah. But yeah, she had some Anunnaki connections.
Okay, that's done. Anything else with her, where that I need to address?
Yeah, there's something else. Hold on.
Okay.
You were in a civilization. I'm trying to see where it was. This was in Scotland, and there was a bleed through reality of, I want to say, some Atlantean stuff. And this guy sort of insisted that, you get into certain types of practices, and it didn't make any sense. It was almost like things started changing around you. And I don't know if it's essentially, from another reality or from an earlier time period, and I don't know if it was time slipping or what, but there was something really weird about it, and it could have been that one of the ETs had created this environment where that reality kind of bled through into this one.
That like a magic, possibly black magic?
It wasn't black magic, it was the ET allowing a bridge between that earlier civilization and the current. And this guy was kind of demanding and kind of imposing sort of rulership of the area, because that's who he was, and he was equally confused as you were, and you both kind of went head to head on certain things.
Who was this? Was it my grandfather?
No.
Okay.
He's like almost he's like otherworldly. He's thin. He's wearing, his clothing is different. He's got angular features.
So he looks like a T?
He's got very blue eyes. And his hair is white. He wears his hair like he's got bangs, and his hair is kind of long. But it looks like it's groomed, like cut in a certain way, rather than like you were in Scotland and your hair was long too, but it was like, just like braided and pulled back, and some other stuff, kind of scruffy looking with a beard and everything.
Right.
His was very like as if he went to the shop and got his hair cut like a woman would cut it, like in the bottom, so it was right above his shoulder. It was very...
This white hair thing has been popping up the last few sessions. Somebody pops up with white hair, about the last 3 I think we've had. That's kind of strange. But anyway, what about this guy? Do we have to
He's called himself Jord.
Jord? How does he spell that? Or how do you spell that?
It reminds me of something like Scandinavian.
Like Y-O-U-R-D? Jord? That's what it sounded like. Maybe it was a Viking thing.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they were connected.
So is this next to me or what?
Well, he's reminding me of this other guy by the name of Yod. But Yod is a lot bigger, and he is this guy from California that had his own like cult movement. He called himself Father Yod. And this guy, they have the same type of personality, but they look different. Maybe which I thought that Father Yod was another aspect of Zoroaster. That is weird. But you get some weird stuff around you.
Yes.
No wonder why they had you isolated.
Yeah. And still isolated. Not as much, but...
No, it will get better once you clear some of this stuff, because it's your connections to these beings will keep you in a place, like a holding space.
Yeah. Like in a limbo.
Yeah.
Have that. Well, I gotta cut all ties with this dude now, or
Yeah.
do I call him Yord? You said that's what he calls himself?
Oh, whatever you do, don't call him forth. Because he will just try to tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that, and this is how it's supposed to be. This is and he's very believable. I mean, you would be like, it sounds like very credible, like ceremonial stuff. All of these different things regarding the weather. He has all sorts of data and information. He's extremely convincing. And I don't know why it was silly, because I knew that he had a variation of this name, and it threw me off.
Are you getting a year for this situation? A time period?
It looks like 300 BC.
BC. Okay.
So you're like, right now you're looking at stuff right around, that over 2,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is weird. I know the Picts came in. They were I think they were around at that time, maybe even later. I don't know exactly. I'd have to look.
Well, I was involved with them too.
In history, but I mean, sometimes I see things in places where they're not supposed to be, or at least it's not recorded.
P-I-C-T? Isn't that how they spell that? Okay.
Mm-hmm. You might have even been a Pict then.
Right.
Yeah. And this guy came through, was kind of, trying to initiate something. And the ET brought it about.
Well, he initiated some kind of practice with me, right?
Yeah, he was trying to enforce this practice on you, and like I said, he was incredibly convincing. He had a lot of information, like astrological information about the constellations, about the years, things to expect, predictions, and so forth.
And a bleed through reality from back then to now.
From Atlantis, he brought into an Atlantean energy, because he was slim, he was tall, and he had this strikingly hairstyle that was usually Atlantean.
Hmm.
And then he also he became Father Yod.
Oh.
Who also, he comes in, it looks like the trend for him is to come in, teach whatever he needs to teach, shift the earth in a certain way that suits him, I guess, or brings in his teachings and doctrines, and then he departs.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was Father Yod, he came in and then at some point said he wanted to go skydiving, which was very random. And in that case, he's like a really big guy, tall, but like a little bit like a giant, kind of in a way, but not quite. And he skydives and has a bad landing, but they don't see anything physically wrong. They don't see anything physically wrong with him, but he ends up dying. So I think he might have staged his own death.
Hey, John. Father God.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what it is.
Is it? He was trying to say he was Father God?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In other words, it's definitely kind of an advanced being who was probably one of our gods. But if he was an aspect of Zoroaster, then Zoroaster, essentially assumed himself as one of our the one and only God. So
they all try to do.
Interesting.
Not all of them,
yeah, no, but I've never seen this Yord version of him. Like, I know I got a little silly about it. I shouldn't have been, but I can't help it. Sometimes I'm just being me.
That's all right.
But I think ultimately, when I start thinking about it, it's pretty serious, because now he introduced an Atlantean something into our field that probably didn't belong here or affected us in some way that might have altered our path. Okay, so there, I think the Council of Five is going to undo whatever it was that was done there.
Cool.
Because I think it brings humanity down a dead end path. As I'm looking and I'm following the thread of what he did, it brings, similar to his behavior, it's almost like he has, I won't say attention span, but he comes in for a short period, for a length of time, and then once he feels that he's finished, he walks away. So that it's like he influences societies and then steps away from them for them to just, have no place to go. There's no way to rejuvenate the thought or the processes. There's no next level, and he doesn't want to stick around to follow it through, so they end up perishing. So I'm wondering if this has something to do with why there's so many of these civilizations that just sort of disappeared or perished, and without any true explanation.
Like the Mayans?
Yeah, perfect example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And others, but that's one of the most well-known.
Yeah, so because he doesn't feel like he wants to stay the course or be there for the whole duration, I think that he tells the people that he's influencing that there at some point there's an end. Maybe he gives them a couple 100 years or something, has them follow through with this type of experience, and then once they're finished, or maybe he says he might show up and save them. I don't know, because if it's his paradigm, then he is the one that has to fulfill it. And if he chooses not to fulfill it, that's also his option, but all of those that were following it get caught.
So it's kind of like this Armageddon thing that we're being told.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, it's like sort of another way to look at it is I don't want to say it's a setup. It's more of a desire to integrate, to engage with humanity, but he didn't create humanity. But I mean, he's played with many of human groups and civilizations.
Well, we've all been led to believe that, because that's in the Bible, that's what's going to happen, and nobody can do anything about it, and Jesus is going to come back and beat the devil in the final battle and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We've all been led down that path. I mean, I know you were too. We all were, and it's still in the Bible. They're still teaching it.
But that's it. I mean, that would explain some of this whole thing, and unless the creator of this paradigm shows up, then it kind of gives them a pass. Like, well, this is what's going to happen, or I'm going to select a few that I feel like who listen to my teachings and follow through with it, and then all those that misinterpreted or didn't understand and thought their heart was in the right place might not be selected. I don't really know, because they speak for themselves. They don't speak for that level of benevolence that I think the God source understands us on a deeper level and understands our hearts and our intentions and all that. And I'm not sure about these others that just show up. And to some they may be their God, but it's sort of like an absentee God. When after they fulfill whatever interest that they wanted to fulfill, then they step away from it. So what happens then to the people? Well, people never belong to them in the first place. They shouldn't be using humans as an experiment, or just as an interest or a hobby or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah, well, we know they've been doing it. What does the Council of Five suggest I do about this? Anything?
Yeah, revocation.
Okay. Should I do it by this guy's name, Yord? Father Yod, or how do I?
Yeah, yes, you could say Yord, And any others that are connected to him?
Okay, I cut all or end all ties,
Contracts,
contracts,
agreements, vows,
blood oaths
what else?
that I
Sacrificial practices.
sacrificial practices that I may have been involved, that I was involved with uh, to a being called Yord, Father Yod, in Scotland, the year 300 BC, and in any dimension, time stream in between, parallel, pocket universe, false reality, I thank thee. It is done, and I know it.
Did you say 300 BC?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if that was done fully. All right.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm seeing a mountain now.
Hello.
I'm not quite sure where it is.
That's where the Garthans are, I believe, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's in Japan.
Oh, Mount Fuji. I can't say that name. Fujinaki, something. Fujinaki or something like that. Why are you seeing that?
That's what you opened up to.
Oh, after this,
Mm-hmm.
I did that revocation. Whoa.
Yeah.
Because the last time
Yeah.
he told me about some kind of Japanese connection.
Yeah, I see a wife there.
Would that be my ex-wife?
Nope. No, it's someone else.
Hmm. Maybe that's my next wife.
She, you're standing there observing the mountain together. I don't know if there was expecting any kind of earthquake or some kind of natural. It might have even been, no, it's something in the sky.
Hmm.
There's a very bright light behind it, and you both are watching it.
E.T.?
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
1830s.
Oh, 1830s. Okay.
Yeah. And you are looking at an alien. I think this is a Nazi craft.
Oh. That was before there was even any Nazis, Jess.
That's not true. They
I
went
mean,
back in time.
okay. Time traveling Nazis. Okay.
Time traveling Nazis. Yep.
Okay.
It's a very, very bright light.
And
Almost looks like a sun or something.
are we interacting with them or just looking at them?
You just noticed the anomaly.
Oh.
You were out walking really early in the morning, almost like looking for sunrise.
But of course they see us.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to abduct us like they did
Yes.
at other time that I saw the Nazis up in the sky.
Yes. Yes, that's true. They end up keeping your wife, and they drop you back off. My wife is missing.
Ah. Ah. Man, those Nazis got against me. I could have never been a Nazi, I tell you. I just, they make me sick.
I think they recognized her soul as someone from later on in the future.
Can you identify her? By name or anything?
That might have been Maria Orsic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's where they got her to form the Vril Society, huh?
Well, yeah, and I think that they did a lot of alterations to her. That'd be an interesting topic to bring up to Peter.
But that's where they picked her up, was on that mountain in Japan as my wife.
That's what it looks like to me.
And they had to go back in time to get her.
Yeah, no wonder why they're having me do all this work with you.
Yeah,
I think she was totally altered. I mean, a lot of things happened.
she spelled her name Orsic or C.
Yeah.
Okay. She was good looking too, wasn't she?
Yeah, but I think, like I said, I think she was altered.
Oh,
You know what's really weird is there's a picture of, I mean, a lot of the Vril, you know, they had a certain look to them, and there was a point where there was a picture before she went through some kind of transformation. She looked similar to me, which I always question about that because I was Sigrun, and you see like the four of the Vril women,
hmm
and her, you almost couldn't tell who was who. Of
yeah.
course, the other two women, Heike and Gudrun, they had their own look.
But you all had that long hair, right?
Yeah.
hmm
Well, Gudrun didn't. She had short hair. But there was something about Maria Orsic in the way that Sigrun looked. There was a strong similarity, and then all of a sudden, Maria Orsic looked much more modern or something, or she looked different. Like she, I don't know.
Plastic surgery or something.
There was something there that was different. Kind of like, you know, how they, like, the kind of restructuring is slightly, and even her hair, everything looks different as she got older, or as time, and then she kind of is the main focal point of everything. But I think she played well with the Nazis. Um, my situation is I don't always play ball very well
Right.
with the team, because
Right.
especially if they have a wrong agenda, I can't go along with it, and then I'm usually kind of like, yeah, I'm at odds with them.
That's what
And
I am too. We have that in common.
yeah,
So they sent us to this area to take care of a problem.
I had no idea this was going to happen in what I just saw. It kind of threw me off.
They want
So
us.
technically, she was a Japanese woman, and
hmm
it was your wife.
Right. So they want us to resolve something here, huh?
I think kind of like the Melba thing. I think they're suggesting that she's no. I think you also made a vow to her that you would never marry
Hmm.
after she was gone. Um, that
And then,
your love would be forever committed to her.
and then you said my ex-wife I was married to in Japan too, so maybe that happened after they took Maria.
That might have happened before.
But I mean, if it happened after, then I would be, like going against my vow to her. And maybe that's why she's still connected to me or
Yeah,
haunting me.
it
So
could be. Yeah, 'cause this could have been one. Well, I mean, it would have been fine if she wasn't infected, affected, however that they're trying to show me. But she was so altered, they kept altering her, that she's not, that she doesn't have the same signature.
well, the Vril didn't come in to do bad things, right? I mean, they were trying to help with spiritual development or whatever, and then the Nazis.
No, that they were all part of, like, you know, like a Theosophical Society or the Tula Society, which had specific agendas, and it was with Aryan roots.
Oh,
So whatever the intention was, you know, was definitely esoteric to begin with, which is fine. But then it, you know, kind of got into the deeper agendas that were harming, you know, masses of people.
right.
So
Like ethnic cleansing.
my whole thing is that, like, when I saw, I was at this building and it had the black sun on it, like on the floor,
Mhm.
and I have a clear vision of me standing there, and I'm looking at the black sun, and I'm supposed to be connecting to the Aldebaran, which I can still do. And when I'm standing there, all of a sudden, everything opens up. And I start to see all the things that the Nazi Party are doing. And my expression changes. And they knew that I knew what was going on. And that was the end for me. I mean, that's when they knew that they had to kill me or something.
Didn't the Aldebaran quit dealing with the Nazis after they, got into the darker things?
Well, I mean, I think they had already given them tech and everything else. I mean, they weren't micromanaging them. They were just had assisted them, were giving them information. Remember, the Earth was supposed to be at a place where we were supposed to be developing and growing. Just like a lot of the technology was sent to us because we kept on saying, yeah, we're ready for it, and we'll do good with it.
Yeah.
And then somehow it ends up in the wrong hands as usual. No one else is able to use it to build cities or do anything that's kind of cool and have free energy. And instead, it's always weapons or some kind of, private group gets to, go and do space travel or end up like Mobius and Monarch.
Right.
So, no, it wasn't supposed to be like that at all. But, and we've been given multiple chances to do the right thing, but somehow it always ends up in the wrong hands, which I believe it's like these demigod or kind of like
Draco
or someone that has entities that seems to be at the right place at the right time to take it.
Right. I mean, they're in control.
Right.
Of every aspect. Do they want me to do a revocation, Maria Orsic?
It'd probably be a good idea because she's not the same as she was and probably is quite dangerous. I'll say dangerous is the word that I'm picking up.
Okay, well, I cut all ties, vows, agreements, contracts, blood oaths with Maria Orsic, with the entire Vril Society, the 1830s, in Japan, in every dimension, time stream in between, parallel, false reality, and pocket universe. And I think it is done, and I know it.
All right, let me take a look. All right, that just helped Japan.
Good.
Those poor people have been through hell.
Yes.
Almost, they were like off dimension.
The whole country?
Yeah, the whole island. I just saw it drop and ground.
Wow. So what this brought them back into phase with us?
Yeah, because you cut off, and I think what they were looking for is your Agarthan connection.
Who was looking for that?
The Nazis.
Oh.
And by you cutting it off, then they kind of left. And then they don't find you.
Huh. Well, that helped me too.
Interesting.
Helped me cut ties with Maria, who had this connection to me that I didn't realize.
Well, I think when you were with her, it was fine. She was like a normal, average female, but once they got a hold of her, then they were putting injections and doing all sorts of stuff.
Right.
Enhancing her, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, it's like black goo or something, then they become very militarized.
And mind control.
Mind controlled, yeah, monarch, whatever, and start carrying out all these different agendas.
Well, didn't they have me under that too? They seem so concerned about this Agarthan energy of mine.
Yeah, they did. No, you kind of escaped it. Because they thought it was her that was carrying the energy, and it was you.
Oh. Yeah, but then they picked me up back a few years ago here. Couldn't they?
They still, yeah, they're confused about you for some reason.
Or
someone's protecting you.
Well, good. Yeah, maybe it's the Garthans. Merle, Jehol,
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
I think you've been protecting me and you didn't even know me yet.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because you're helping with the change, and some of them want to keep everything in the status quo.
But this is my mission, right, Jess? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm doing this because this is what I came here to do. I signed up for this.
Hmm.
It's just that I didn't realize what the mission was until I talked to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's ever evolving. I would have never guessed in a million years you were connected to Maria Orsic. That kind of blew me away.
Yeah, I mean, I've been connected to a lot of things that all of it blows me away.
Yep.
But I'm happy to find out, what my mission is because I mean, it's just good to know and also feels very satisfying to carry it out and take care of some of this stuff that really needed my attention and your attention also
Hmm.
and your guides
Yeah.
in the Council of Five. And I thank the Council of Five and the Calypsy Ray and Peter. Those are the only ones I know, but
Yeah, there's a lot of things to look at here. Um,
and things like this Japan thing just pop up and
the name's Solaris. That's that's related to that guy, Yord.
oh really?
Yeah,
In what way?
that
That's what
makes
I came.
sense. That was what he called you.
Oh,
That's interesting. Why would, that's probably what they know you as.
okay. Well, that's
Hmm.
that's what Zora told me my name was.
Yeah,
I asked my soul name, or my galactic.
probably they see you more as a visitor with the Agarthans rather than originally from there because Yord probably changed your energy a bit.
Hmm,
Wow.
some of these practices he had me doing.
Yeah.
Huh. So what did that do just now? Finding that out about that name, did that it connected me to this Yord guy? But
It connected you, yeah, into the ship that they have. So you were on that ship. Oh, that's weird.
what kind of ship is this?
And it looks like a Zoroastrian ship
Oh,
related to Atlantis.
so it's the Zoroastrian Atlantean ship.
Hmm. I asked what you did on that ship, and it was reformatting Terra,
Huh.
and they're referring to the Earth as Terra.
Right.
Uh,
That's what Zora calls it. Terra Christa.
so it was taking the Earth and then changing it. So I wonder if this has something to do with all of this whole Tataria. I won't call it a theory, but discoveries. And how that they came in. So this group, the Zoroastrians, came in and started to like terraform or format the Earth from the old energy stamps. The old layout, or taking a portion of the layout and then reconfiguring it a bit so it's unrecognizable.
So I was doing that.
Oh, yeah. And so then when other species would show up, they wouldn't recognize it. That's why they did it.
And I was working with the Zoroastrians to do this.
Yes. Oh my God.
Doesn't that mess up my karma?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I want to get rid of that shit.
Well, you didn't know. I mean, it's not like you had an intention to do anything wrong, but you did question them and they got angry at you.
Well, that's been the story of my life. The Catholics used to get mad at me too when I was just a little boy.
What'd you do?
Well, I'd ask questions. They don't like that. They want you to just accept whatever they tell you and don't ask questions. And that wasn't me. I've never been like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure which soul that was doing all that. It's probably this one.
Oh, your soul is the same always.
No, I mean I'm a walk-in though, from when I was a little boy. So
that was the same you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying it's a different soul walked into this body, and the other one left. But I realize the memories and everything are still there. But right?
Yeah.
Even the old soul, and then part of the old soul is still here too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a shard of it or something.
I don't think so.
Really? Can you tell me more about that, Jess?
Either that, there's an integration of some sort.
Can you tell me more about why I
Let's
walked
see
into this body? Besides my soul mission, but
I think you came back to correct a lot of the stuff that we're doing.
yeah. But I mean, the original soul wasn't up to the task.
I've been wondering, why in the world are all these people contacting me about this whole thing with the mud floor and Tataria and how these earlier civilizations.
Well, this might tie that together.
Yeah.
So you have a little better understanding of it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting to me.
I thought I had already cut all ties to Zoroaster, but maybe not.
Maybe, this has to do with, because he was in the form of Yord.
Oh, he was. Oh, okay. Well, no wonder he was so convincing, huh?
But I think the part of doing all the terraforming and changing the old cities and the layout was really weird. I mean, that's really weird. And I think when people have a request and they want to know the answer, I swear it just comes up.
Right.
Because it's like kind of like the mass population wanting to know something.
You think it was possibly, how all the land masses used to all be connected together and then they split up?
It's not so much that. It was more of the layers of civilization that were, some of it was like after the flood.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cities that existed, that still remained, they built over it so people wouldn't recognize it or others wouldn't recognize it.
And a couple of the continents that used to exist no longer exist, so that kind of cut a big portions of the land out and opened up, I guess turned into ocean instead of land.
Maybe they're the ones that had something to do with the destruction of Mu
and Atlanta.
Lemuria, Atlantis. Yeah.
Supposedly those are coming back.
All right, so not that they were malevolent, or maybe they were, but as I said, just even considering that scenario where, we see Yord creating a teaching, a paradigm, a way of living to a culture that is somewhat civilized, in restructuring it in a way and letting them follow through that experience until it gets to a point where it's, there is nowhere to go. It comes to this dead end.
And that's when you just blow it up or whatever.
So, yeah, like maybe that's what they said with Atlantis. Well, they justify it in saying that it had to do with these aliens coming in and causing problems. But maybe they were the ones that deliberately were causing problems because it was the end of the term for that experience. And so this is that part. And people say, well, why is it all these civilizations looked like they existed, and what are they trying to hide? And they don't want people looking into what happened. And maybe what they're trying to show is that they allow a civilization to thrive for a certain while, and then they have it to get destroyed, or
Right.
allow it to go, to a dead end where they're stuck, and then they self-implode or something.
And we have these different ages,
I don't think people would be happy if they heard this. But I've kind of known this, but I didn't know how to. I didn't think it played out in many other different experiences in the past.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, my original soul though wasn't able to carry out this mission. That's why I came into the body. Is that correct?
Yeah, you had to be here,
And
because you're the one, you have had the knowledge of it, and it's in your like your soul memory, your subconscious.
my hereditary and everything.
And that's why when we talk, I can tune into it, and then your experience is what I'm seeing that reveals it.
So this soul had to find a way into this lineage that I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at this time, it was probably, this is the right time for it to be dealt with, because maybe there's enough benevolent beings that caught on to how they kept on taking civilizations and letting them play through, and then giving them a dead end scenario. So that changes things, where they keep on repeating that, and then finally these benevolent beings are saying, hey, you don't have to do this. Just because they're finished playing the game, it doesn't mean that you should be the sacrifice, and the ones that get recycled, whatever term that they want to use. They're not pleased with the outcome. Yeah, but how is that our fault? I don't understand, like, what the expectation is. And instead of observing their own behavior, they're trying to conform everyone else into their behavior, which is less than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It has blaring flaws to it. And I'm sure that they're going to be very angry, but I get attacked anyhow.
Well, we don't need to be coerced. If we have the information, we can make decisions on our own. The problem is we didn't have all the information.
No, I've already gone this far. It's I don't really care at this point.
Do whatever you want to do. I don't have a problem.
Don't you agree with me? Do you think that was right, that they were terraforming?
No, I was doing it. No.
Over other civilizations, and then setting up, insisting upon some kind of weird scenario or some kind of paradigm that appeased them. Well, and then when you finish, it's almost like a throwaway toy.
Yeah, kind of they wanted to put in this good and evil thing.
They want to do that, but now I'm even seeing it's worse, that they kind of give everyone an expiration date.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I'm not happy with this at all.
Well, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm asking for protection at this point, because I'm going to probably share this.
Okay. I don't mind.
Yeah, I figure you wouldn't, because I think if you're here to assist in helping some of this stuff get exposed, then that's what we need to do.
Not just exposed, but corrected.
Corrected. I'm positive that you did not willfully do that.
No,
you were coerced.
Right. Or maybe threatened or something, some other type of thing.
Maybe you thought that you were enhancing the landscape where it looked like it was hit by battles, because some of these locations look like they've been badly attacked, even nuked or burnt down or something.
Look like deserts?
Yeah, well, yeah, though there's some in Nevada, and I was probably going to talk about it some more. So, yeah, there's more information out there regarding it. And they had the tech to be able to destroy certain locations. I mean, the whole Sodom and Gomorrah story is what is it? It's going to rain down fire.
Right, and all
Fire and brimstone. Well, what is that?
the Sahara Desert and the all the huge desert areas we have supposedly were nuked, and that's
Yeah.
why that happened. Nothing living there, just sand and rock that's been, what do they call it, vitrified. High temperatures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ah, let's take care of this, Jess, if we can. Anything we can do to help.
Yes, how many civilizations were affected? They said many.
Yes.
How come no one else has stepped in to stop them? Because I think that they threaten to cause problems. It's almost like
The threat. We'll blow it up if you don't do it our way, or something like that.
something, yeah.
Like they did Tiamat.
Yeah.
And so we always live with that threat hanging over us.
Yeah. I have this guy that keeps on contacting me and saying that, oh, someone wants to bring Tiamat into our reality and it's going to destroy our Earth and all this other stuff. And I'm like, Tiamat's already here.
We are Tiamat, aren't we?
But the planet was already brought over here, so I mean, if they're worried about that, then that's the least of our worries right now. I don't know where they got that teaching.
You talking about a new Tiamat?
This is the old Tiamat that was just brought into our reality, but it's off dimension, so you can't see it. But it's been here for a while now, a couple of years.
I had heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was implemented. I helped implement bringing it over.
Oh, with Patty Broussard?
Yeah, because I ended up being a part of the Tiamat Society, and I was one of those giants in one of my incarnations, one of those red-headed giants.
Yeah, well, you must know my grandpa then.
Yeah.
Grandpa Jimi.
Yep.
Cool.
So, and I guess they're concerned, they're fearful that it's going to destroy the Earth. It's going to do just the opposite. If anything, the beings from Tiamat would protect us because they're benevolent, as opposed to some of the other giants that were not. And we need someone to counteract that dimensional field where these giants are. There's also Titans. Some of them went into the good place and the bad place. And here's another weird thing is they talk about that reality where you terraformed is Tartaria, and a lot of the Titans were in Tartarus. Sounds pretty similar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Tartarus is supposed to be a prison. So what is this? Why would they call a nation Tartaria? And which one was it? Was it a nation, a reality? Is that where the Titans were? I don't know. I think it requires more investigation. But I think what's the interesting piece here is that people are worried about some of the stuff that doesn't matter, and they're not at all worried about the stuff that does. And I'm thinking that part of this is deliberate ET disinformation to get people off their tracks, or to know that there's something that's wrong that needs to be taken care of, and they're trying to find it and they don't have enough information, so they're it's going into one place only. Well, so that they're coming up with a specific idea or teaching regarding it. But like I said, that technically, well, I guess that the moon was a vehicle that was used for the Tiamat beings to get over here in the first place, which completely resonates with my truth. Wow. I believe that's the case as well. I do believe it's a vehicle.
Well, maybe Grandpa Jimi can give us some insight into this. Doesn't he have a mission he's working on with concerning Tiamat?
Yeah, I mean, they're all into in the idea of wanting to help the planet.
right? But also there's something, some kind of connection also to Tiamat. They're trying to resurrect the true story, or bring out what actually happened, or I don't, I'm not clear as to
It was
what.
the whole thing with Marduk,
Yeah,
is regarding Marduk.
Marduk is the one that did that, isn't he? Blew it up,
He was involved in it. Yeah, he was
right?
definitely involved. Marduk is the brother of Zoroaster.
Oh, I didn't know
So
Zoroaster.
see, let's start putting all the pieces together.
And he's like Enlil or Enki's son, and Anu is his grandfather.
They're kids playing with big boy toys.
Hmm.
But although Marduk I don't so much see as a kid, but I do see him as having a very dark side.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone has it all depends on what perspective and what side you're on. you know.
And it's insecurity too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've heard even some people say, well, the only reason Marduk exists in your mind is because you're still in that paradigm, and that's because you're not evolved, or something like that. And everything's past, present, future, all timelines, everything right now. So whatever was is, and as long as there's entanglements to the earth, it still appears. So I didn't create this; it exists, and this is where I agree or disagree with some people. I can't hide what I'm seeing. And I'm not here to impress anyone with my religiosity or my spirituality or anything like that. I'm here to just talk about what is there, what exists, and what needs to be resolved. And so Marduk still needs to be resolved, and still another level, another layer of the onion that opens up regarding Zoroaster. I had no idea he was terraforming like that, but it totally makes sense.
But maybe Marduk just needs he doesn't seem to have anything redeeming about him at all. There doesn't seem to be
No,
any.
I haven't found one single thing that he did that benefited anyone else aside from his agenda of control and rulership.
Yeah, and he even fights his own family, right? Over the planet, over who runs it and all this stuff. And okay, you run it for a million years, and then it's my turn and all this stuff.
He seems like a warmonger. I don't know what else he's known for, but he seems very much like a warmonger.
Let's take his ass out of here. He doesn't seem to be helping at all.
Well, I think you have to disentangle people, or else people get caught in stuff. And there's a reason why he's still here, still around, is because people are connected to him. And this is the stuff that Rodan was talking about. If you want to be free and sovereign and liberated from everything, then you need to let go of it. You can't hold on to it and say, I don't want it anymore. It's like someone saying, I want to get divorced from someone, and you're in another relationship, but yet they're still living in your house.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that? You can't. So then the person that's trying to be in a relationship with you while your ex is still living in your home. I mean, I'm not talking about you personally, of course, but I'm just trying to give a scenario.
I know what you're talking about.
And you're like, well, are you going to let go of them? Or, how am I going to help you get the divorce or get free of that if you're still holding on to them? And people do this all the time. They don't even realize it. It's like letting go of something that they think it's so familiar that it must be a part of them in a way.
Yeah.
So it becomes like, even though it's uncomfortable, they're accustomed to it.
Anything else coming up?
I think that's about it, Jimmy. Well, I know this wasn't a traditional type of interview, but if you have any questions or interesting comments, please leave them below. I'd like to hear about your thoughts. These are, you get to hear when I find some of my realizations by looking at someone's past history. I'm able to open up and look into the past and see what was going on at that time. I don't obviously learn everything, but just enough that I have an awareness, and I'm sure that some of these ideas and understandings and realizations that I came to during this session might raise a few eyebrows. But hey, you know, this is the way it goes. The information comes forward. I don't have any intention to make anything up, but I do have intention of bringing forth what I see literally and then sorting it out. So here it is. Either way, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your understanding and being open-minded. And also, I think with everyone being involved, we can figure these things out and have a better understanding about our history. So thanks for supporting the channel. Keep listening. You never know what's going to come up next. Thanks for supporting those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. And of course, I'm open for sessions. Have a good day.